Welcome to Subramani. Continuing our discussion about this book, we are now on chapter number 5. You can see this, right? So, retirement and insurance. We're talking of 3-4 types of insurance. Largely, we are talking of life insurance. We're talking of medical insurance. We're talking of critical illness insurance. Surprisingly, both India and China have contributed a lot to the world in terms of not needing any insurance for the home. I don't think any of us are bothered too much about insuring our mobile phones and television sets and laptops, etc. Right? So, like I say, term life insurance, yes, we need, and it will not. It will pay out. It will pay out to the term life insurance will pay out to the dependent or the nominee if you have filled the form honestly. So that's also important. When you take a term insurance policy or take any insurance policy, please fill the form honestly. Don't lie on it, because if you lie in that, you are not telling a lie to the insurance company, you're telling a lie to your spouse. You're telling your spouse, here I have this insurance policy, in case of my death they will pay, and then your spouse finds that you've died and there is nobody willing to pay because you lied there about the number of cigarettes you smoke, or by the number of drinks you have, or that your father had a heart attack at the age of 64. You hid something there, and that can be very dangerous. Today data is available, a lot of electronic data, you leave a lot of footprint everywhere. Gone are the days when you could have hidden something like this. Today it is almost impossible. So if you get admitted to a hospital, all your hospital records are accessible to everybody. It just leaks like a sieve, right? So fill up the form honestly. Take enough insurance to pay off all the liabilities. How much insurance does the 23-year-old daughter of a billionaire need? Nil. How much insurance does a 23-year-old daughter of a worker need if he has taken a loan of 5 lakhs from his PF to pay for your education? Obviously, you need to cover that 5 lakhs, plus you need to pay enough money at home so that the family can live. It is not because you can die, but it is because the family can live, and family has to live. That you may have siblings, you may have a parent who has got to retire, you may have a grandparent who is dependent on your parent, right? So you may require a 20-25 lakh rupee term insurance, that in case you die, at least your family will get this much of money, right? How much of medical insurance? Medical insurance is something which I would suggest that you meet a agent, because it's a far more complicated thing than term insurance. Term insurance, you can always go and take it from a online portal. But when you are taking medical insurance, how much of medical basic insurance you need, whether it should be taken as a family floater, whether you want your children to be included in the same family floater, how much the premium changes, how much of top up, how much of super top up you should take, which company is good for administration, how many are doing their own TPA. It's a pretty far more complicated thing than term life insurance. There has to be pursuing of the insurance company for settlement of claims, documents have to be submitted. The whole thing is not very easy. I would suggest that you go through an agent, and an agent who really understands what you're doing, right? So a good quality agent who has been in the business for 10-20 years and who is interested in being in the business for at least 10-15 years when you are going to be around. So once you have all this in place, then you take insurance. Don't take insurance just from the first person who comes along. So after coming to term insurance, I have done some stories, right, on how a will is to be made, how a person is to be named as a nominee or named in the will, and stories about how you should name them, how you should not make your children joint owners with your property, what are the risks, etc. That is all in chapter number 4 and chapter number 5. I'm not doing those stories online, but I'm just telling you what are the contents there. So if you want the stories, you'll have to get it from the book. So in the book, there is also a story about how much insurance a doctor needs for his own, because he has taken a loan for his practice, etc. So medical insurance is, at least you can put a thumb rule saying if you're earning so much, you need so much of insurance. But Term life insurance is far more complicated. It depends on whether you have borrowings, you don't have borrowings, whether your company also depends on you, whether your family anyway depends on you, how much, what expenses your children are currently incurring, where are they studying, where are they planning to study in future. It's far more complicated. I would rather have you sit and use an Excel sheet, maybe sit with an agent also, a financial planner, to assess how much insurance you need. What you should take, pure simple term insurance. How much you should take depends on how complicated a life you have lived. If you've lived a life which is very simple and you have a wife who is earning and children are very close to earning income, like 23, 24 and about to take up a job, maybe you don't need any insurance. But if you have a more complicated life, if you have a business, you have business loans, you have given bank guarantees there, right? Then you may need far more insurance. So I am not giving any simple answer. There's no last drawn income into 10 kind of an answer. No, that's not what I'm willing to say. It is a function of your expenses and function of your liabilities and function of how many people are dependent on you. So it's far more complicated than just a thumb rule. Thumb rules don't work. So having covered that, yeah, how I have also covered in the will, I have also said how you should name the nominee. So I'm saying the nominee should be named like this. It should say Padmini, my wife, whose date of birth is 12 July 1977 and her address is plot 12, street 14, Guntur, and my children Ram and Suresh, whose PAN number is so and so, and born to me on these dates. What happens by this is, it is simple, it is clear, and it is unambiguous. There is no other Padmini who can come and stand and say, oh, I was married to so and so, right? So that can't happen. So you're identifying that person with the PAN number, with the Aadhaar number, name of your children, etc., right? Put their children's name, put your children's name, their PAN number, and all. Identify them perfectly, very clearly, unambiguously. Should also say that I'm married only to Padmini and I have only 2 children, because the court does not know whether you're married to somebody else, and the court can ask very embarrassing questions when seeking a probate. So if you say all this, see, it's easy to scoff at the court, but understand the court does not know you. You're dead and gone, and your wife is saying, hello court, please say that this document is fair. So it's fair enough that the court will ask such embarrassing questions. How do you know that your husband did not have another wife? How do I know that you're not hiding a third child and you're completely depriving that child from all this property, right? When you go to get a probate done in the court has to ask you something, right? So they will ask these questions. They will not ask you, of course. They will ask your wife when she goes to the court. So if you clarified all this, then it becomes much easier for her, because she'll say, yeah, he had only one wife and he stated that in his will. He had only 2 children, these are their names, it is also stated in the will. So if your children have one official name and one pet name, please mention both to avoid any confusion, because tomorrow if they were to check and they say, no, we don't know any Subramaniam, we only know Sham here, you don't want to get into trouble. So better to name them specifically with date of birth, with PAN number, identify them as well as possible, right? You can also put the money in a trust if you want to leave the money to charity, but please, whatever you're doing about your will, please make sure that the children know what you're doing, why the money is being split little unequally between a son and a daughter. Maybe you spent a lot of money on the daughter's wedding, so you're giving her less. Maybe you spent a lot of money on the son's education, so you're giving him less. Whatever it be, please talk to the children. It is your money. You have a right to do anything that you want. But having said that, when you clarify, at least children will have a closure. Otherwise, lifelong they will wonder why did one person get more and one person get less. Clarify to them, it is much better that way. So what all do we insure? We insure those risks which we think we need to insure. For example, we insure our houses, maybe. We insure our lives, we insure our car because it's compulsory. But we do not insure our television set, we do not insure our mobile phones, we do not insure our bicycles, right? Those which we think we can carry on our own shoulder, we do not seek any insurance, and therefore I would put home insurance, I would put as unnecessary, because the fire insurance in the home is something which the society takes, earthquake insurance is something which the society takes, So fire insurance maybe you don't need, you can always replace all the things. Prices have gone down so much and insurance rates have not really gone down so much. A bicycle insurance can cost you 1000 rupees. That's not small, right? So you may not need any of those things, so be careful. Critical illness and disability insurance is very difficult to understand. If you understand, you take. Don't understand, don't take. You need all this only if you have unfinished goals, like we said earlier. Thank you.